me change topics for a quick second here. So I just posted this on my community page on YouTube, and it's just basically said the stagnant growth, some say decline in the hi-fi industry is caused by what? I'm speaking more about two-channel audio and not home theater or personal audio. I'm not talking about headphones or Bluetooth. And this comes from a topic from Doug Schneider. I think he's the owner of Soundstage Network, and he posted about something like that on his Facebook page. And this is the result. So he said on his post that it was lack of advertising and marketing, and so 11% of people agreed with that. I thought it was more a combination of true product innovation. People said lack of both, 21%, and then something else comment below, 50%. So it's, something else. And a lot of people were saying cost here. Some people were just basically saying like most people don't care. This is continuing on what I was talking about earlier. So this is what Doug Schneider was saying on his Facebook. Okay. So in summary, I don't know if you want to read this, but
do you want me to? I can read it.
Go ahead, you read it.
That's why I get paid the big bucks. There's been plenty of talk about how companies can expose hi-fi as well as their individual products more to the masses. Well, the answer is literally in front of everyone. Online media. After all, billions worldwide are there every day. And if you're reading this, you are too. Everyone is. Even my mother, who occasionally comments on my posts. We're talking social media platforms, YouTube, websites, etc. for content, videos, photos, stories. But what it doesn't mean is posting any old crap online. Instead, well-produced content that'll grab attention. Even when hi-fi shows come back, and they will, the online world will still rule. Ooh.
Interesting stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting stuff. So if you're not following him on, I don't know if he accepts everybody, but like, I would recommend that you follow him on Facebook because he always posts these like interesting questions that are thought-provoking. Sometimes gets people to like, argue on there. So interesting stuff. He's doing a great job. Yeah. What do you guys think about that? Is that the answer? Because I think what he's basically saying is like a lot of these companies, they don't even know how to take good photos. Like hi-fi, high-end companies, like they don't even have good photos. Like something as basic as that. It's like, what are you guys doing? Like, not even talking about videos.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about posting them on social media. They don't even have the photos. Mm-hmm. You haven't taken the time to do that. I don't know. I have a feeling about this hi-fi stuff that it's not looking good, to be honest. I like hi-fi in the sense that like, I think it's interesting, but I don't see a big future in it. What do you guys think? I don't see it. I see a future in home theater, because I think that's something that you can't really easily replace.
Right.
I can comment from my own experience on how I got into this hobby without making a long story too long and trying to make it short. I didn't actually come into... I mean, I don't really consider myself as someone who is necessarily an audiophile or into hi-fi, though that's really odd based off of like my interests and I think my presence even on this show. So thank you again. But I actually got into this because I was a virtual reality researcher back in my university years. And what got me into this was it used to be, in order to get a sort of immersed situation, and in some ways that's still more preferable, we would have like these headsets or even like high quality headphones that we would use with the virtual reality head plate. But then I saw a demo. It was posted on YouTube. So funny enough to like Doug's post, it's like the online world, right?
Yeah.
And what they did is they built an experience, a virtual reality experience, but instead of using headphones, and because of how bulky, these things already are, especially with like the early headsets, what they did is they had an array of, I think, 6 identical active speakers, and they set that in an array setting so that if you were in there, the software would track your position in the environment, like via your head. Sure. And then the sound would output, since all the speakers were identical, the sounds of where it was coming in the environment. And the nice thing is that for the users, the only thing that they had to perceive into this virtual world was the headset. But the head was all light, so it felt a lot more ergonomic. It felt comfortable. They felt more immersed. And then I was like, oh, speakers. I would never guess that because, I think of big giant speakers as something that my parents did. And then lo and behold, I started off with a stereo system, which was just 2.0 with the original Andrew Jones BS22s. I don't even remember. There wasn't a lot of videos back in the days, even on YouTube, that I saw of like what to get into hi-fi. But I wanted like a quality sound experience. But what speakers are afforded. That's how I got my journey. And then since then, it went from 2.0 to 2.1, then 4.1. Then I eventually completed it and got to my 5.1 situation before the past couple of years in this almost decade-long journey of now having officially a 5.2.2, about to be 0.4 home theater setup. So still not really hi-fi, still more the home theater experience. But because there's so much content that's talking about like hi-fi, granted, most of the people that I originally came across, even on the forums, are of a demographic that is older than mine. Not much older, but still older. And I was like, I never heard music like this. So I started trying stuff on my home theater system, just, in a standard, and it was magical, to be at the very least. So for me, my avenue into this hobby came from something that is probably much more recent, but it was something that is not greatly known or explored even among like my friends, and it's kind of changing now that they've actually seen my home theater, as well as being introduced to like, hey, give me a song that you've always listened to that you really know, and they listen to it, and then all of a sudden it's like, I've never heard that detail before, and then that was the magic, that was the click that got them a lot more involved and interested to learn more of the hobby. But they're still not hi-fi, but they know what hi-fi is now.
Yeah. So that's interesting though, because you came from VR, right? So I would even argue, like, we're talking about projectors and huge screens, and I have one of those like Oculus, whatever, Quest 2 or what.
Quest 2, yeah, baby.
It actually is more immersive, I would say, than even my projector screen. Yeah, it's even more immersive, but it's not a shared experience, right? Like, I don't think it would be fun to have myself and my wife and my kids all wearing these things. It just, it's kind of, that's what it'd look like.
We're getting to that wall time.
It's the shared experience that I think is interesting, that we can all watch this movie, and same thing with speakers. Like, a binaural recording might even be more immersive than aural, right? But all of us are going to wear headphones. We're not going to, John. So, I guess back to this real quick, is he's saying that these companies need better advertising and marketing. And I agree with that. I agree they need to advertise and market better, but I also think that there's no innovation. When I look at hi-fi stuff, like, what innovation? Like, a TV from the 70s is going to be way different than the TVs that we have nowadays and the technology we have now.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Okay, now take the speaker from the 70s, and yeah, we have better speakers now, but they still look the same, right?
For the most part.
Outsider perspective, some people are still using, tube amps, like old school technology. A lot of these audiophiles are not for DSP. They don't like active speakers. They don't like room correction. They don't like home theater. Like, more than 2 channels is a no-no for them. Including video is even like, that's a distraction. I just need only music, just music.
Yeah.
Like, don't add anything. Like, how good can we make that? And so to me, I think they're stuck. Like, how far can you go with that if you're gonna ignore the people who think that the other experience is a more immersive experience, right? Like, if I would listen to music and then there's one with a music video included, it's kind of more entertaining. Now if I could have the music video and high quality audio, I'd go for that too. It's just more, right? And I guess what I'm trying to say here is there's a lack of innovation, and so companies can't market, because how are you going to market a speaker that's kind of pretty much the same as last year's? How much can you talk about the new AVR when it's pretty much the same? It looks the same.
Now you sound like all those Madden and like FIFA players.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying though, right? Like, there has to be innovation, and so that's easy to market. It's easy to market when you have something brand new. Like, even today, what have we been talking about? The advancement in projector.
Yeah,
and I think they've come a long way, right? Projectors. TVs, We're talking about AI upscaling. Like, this is all amazing stuff. What can you say about speakers,
Oh,
amplifiers? That like, what's the craziest advancement that you've seen recently? That
recently that I can finally fucking afford it.
yeah,
Yes.
You know what?
Christ.
That's
the recent thing that you can
That's
afford.
the recent thing, because now that I'm older and I can like budget thousands of dollars for XYZ or ABC, then yeah, that's the only thing. The only the speaker hasn't changed. I changed.
Yeah,
I changed. I got a
You
better
can afford
job.
it.
I can afford it. You know, I can plan out better. But for the most part, man, like speaker's a speaker. Like,
so
how much more can you do? Like, you know, make it gold.
What about the line R speakers and stuff like that? I guess the way that they're setting them up is a little bit different.
The line array.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Oh, so I'll get to that in a second, but he was kind of mentioning how like vinyl. There's a vinyl resurgence, right? And like, oh, look at vinyl comeback, right? And then I looked at this other graph here. So they're saying, oh, vinyl's making a huge comeback, right? And then let me see if I can see this. Zoom out a little bit here. So vinyl would be like this little gray area compared to like streaming and digital. It's like that's nothing.
Convenient.
Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about, bro?
We're talking
They're
about
making
maybe
resurgence, and then like look at it, it's like this little tiny thing.
Maybe like 1 to 2% of the full market share.
That's what I'm saying, man.
If you look, I forget who I follow on Twitter, but they always post the like how much like 4K Blu-rays and DVDs are purchased, and it's still 90% DVD. Who the fuck is buying? How many people are buying DVD? A whole bunch of people.
Okay,
$5 in that Walmart
How many of you guys have a turntable right now? You guys have a I don't own one.
I'm a DJ, so
I know, but do you use it? Is it connected?
No, they're in storage. They're from 2001. I actually sold my Techniques because I wasn't listening to the vinyl that I just purchased. So I sold that thing, I don't know, for like $1,700.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But
so anyway, that's why I'm kind of like going off on HiFi right now, even though I have the HiFi Summit, right? It's just kind of bugging me that there's not a lot of innovation that I see. What are they doing? They're making more expensive stuff. They're making it look a little different. And so now that's why everybody's arguing. Because there's nothing to really talk about. You know what I mean? Let's just argue about cables or something. I don't know. What else can we do?
I mean,
We're getting
you
bored
could
over here.
argue about bit rates and like how, you know, I know they're trying to make, you know, the experience of digital just like a vinyl sort of, you know, with all that. You know?
Anytime there's a new technology, it's almost like they don't want it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's new? Nah.
Get off my lawn, you damn
I don't want
kids.
that. I don't want that.